We are in Parashat Pinchas, and again, we're still in the same order that in Israel we're in Pinchas, in America, outside of Israel, it's still in Parashat Balak. And even though Pinchas, the parasha is associated with the heroic act of Pinchas, that he got a name, a parasha named after him, what's interesting is the heroic act was last week in Balak at the end. But nevertheless, we associate the whole parasha with Pinchas. But the parasha itself has many other details in it, and most people, they tend to ignore the details in the parasha. And this week's parasha is holding something very, very powerful. And before I go and elaborate on what I want to talk about, there's something that occupies our mind as humans in many different times, and that is called in many different ways. In Hebrew, it's called the next chapter. I don't know if they say it in English. In Hebrew, you would say the next chapter. What's the next stage in my life? Now, what is the next stage in my life? Sometimes you get fired, chas v'shalom, you need a new job. You're relocating from this city to that city. Some people, unfortunately, they get divorced and they go into another chapter in their life, to a new marriage. And there are many different next chapters in my life. You don't go the whole life on the same chapter. And sometimes the next chapter means that the one before that was devastating, a death or something bad. But sometimes people go through chas v'shalom, a car accident, a loss of business, whatever it is, and then you start the next chapter. So I don't know if it's really works the same term in English. In Hebrew, you call it the next chapter. And many people, that's what occupies them, or that's a big thing in their life. Sometimes you have a good run for 10 years, and then it's time to leave. It's time to move. It's time for a change. Now comes another big question. When I need to move to the next chapter, how do you make a decision? I need to move from point A to point B. Not easy to make a decision. Some people, they're very quick with making a decision. Some people, they go and ask for advice for half the world. What should I do? And it can come in many different things. It can come in something small, something big. Should I take this job? Should I take that job? Should I live here? Should I move there? What should I do? A lot of people have this decision-making status. Now kicks in a whole topic. And this is what we're going to concentrate about today, and a lot of people are really a little bit confused about it, is something that is called fate or destiny. In Hebrew it works much better, because in Hebrew it's called goral. Again, in English the words don't make much sense in order to explain something. Exactly. That's why in Hebrew it makes sense. Because destiny or fate in Hebrew is goral, comes from the word in Hebrew hagrala. Hagrala is a lottery. So it's not equivalently the same. Now why am I bringing up the whole idea of the lottery, of the goral, of the fate? Because sometimes I say I need to move somewhere. That's my fate. That's my destiny. I have to be somewhere. But how do I make a decision? So sometimes people make a decision. You know what people sometimes do? Let's flip a coin. Let's do something like that, and we'll see what happens. And whatever happens, that's what we do. So sometimes it's something small. You want to go to Italian. Your wife wants to go to sushi. Let's flip a coin. Now, always going to be somebody who's not so happy. But nevertheless, many times in our life, I'm standing in a place that, where is my fate going to take me? What is my destiny? How do I make a decision? Am I now going to control my destiny with my decision? Maybe my decision is wrong. How do I know my decision is right? To go here or here? So I will need to somehow get some type of a system to show me what to do. And that is called, like they say, a flip of coin or pull, whatever. You know, sometimes people, they take a chicken bone and one takes the broken one, the not broken one. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff like that. But nevertheless, now we wanted to concentrate a little bit about this idea that is called goral. And I'm going to say it only in Hebrew, because in English, fate or destiny is one thing, And in Hebrew, goral is fate and destiny. But it's coming from the word hagrala, and hagrala means a lottery, which takes us to a completely different place. But, more than that, if I'm that's something that I want to talk about. It's a question that can be aroused. Am I allowed to do such a thing? Am I allowed to flip a coin? According to the Torah, I mean, with certain things the Torah is telling me I'm not allowed to do. Is that allowed by the Torah to do a lottery or a raffle or all these things to make a decision? So we want to speak about today about this concept because a lot of people, it bothers them. First of all, people want to know their fate or their destiny. And then people will reach to a dead end. Will my decision affect my destiny? Maybe my decision is wrong. What do I do here? And why do we want to talk about all this today? Is because in this week's parasha, the land of Israel was divided. And like I said, many big details in the parasha, and people are focusing on the heroic act of Pinchas. But yesterday we spoke about the section in the parasha, but all the sacrifices for all the festivals. Now we're going to talk about the fact that the land of Israel was divided by lottery. That's how it was divided. And now comes a big question. Wait a minute, something so big in dividing the land of Israel to the tribes before they go into the land is done by a lottery? What's going on here? It says in the Torah, Ach begoral yichalek haaretz. With a destiny, with a lottery, the land will be divided. Now, comes here another big question. Hashem did that. Hashem needs to do a lottery, but he doesn't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Hashem. Now, even though Hashem did that, then what's the meaning that Hashem divided the land in a lottery? Hashem could easily say, Yehuda, you get this. Shimon, you get that. Hashem needs to do a lottery. He doesn't know. Let's do a lottery. And again, I'm saying the word lottery because in Hebrew, goral means hagrala, that's kind of a lottery. Now let's a little bit see what's going on in the parasha. The parasha of Pinchas, we're starting to say goodbye to Moshe Rabbeinu. Last two parashot, we said goodbye to Miriam in Chukat. We say goodbye to Aaron. We're concluding the term in the desert. Moshe Rabbeinu is already asking for Hashem to send him the next leader. Elazar is taking already the place of Aaron a Kohen. Moshe is looking for the next one, Yoshua. This is the end, the beginning of the end, but it's the end of the period. And Moshe Rabbeinu is already appointing Yoshua to be the next leader. Now, what's the next topic, the next agenda to deal with? We're about to go into the land of Israel. Let's start dividing the land. What, we're going to go in then? We don't know? Let's just do it now. Before we land, let's divide. Okay. Who is going to get what portion? How much is everybody going to get? So starts now the whole section of the dividing of the land. And that was broken into two sections. The first section was that happened what's called Gilui Shechina, a revelation of the Shechina. And the Shechina is the feminine aspect of the divine. What does it mean, divine intervention? Or there was a revelation? Hashem revealed it. How did he reveal it? They had the breastplate, the Choshen, Avnei HaChoshen. And there was the Urim and Tumim, and they would ask a question, and the breastplate would start moving around. So the first would happen is that they would say the name of the tribe, Reuven. Each tribe had a stone, and it would shine, and it would tell them who gets what. So there was, right away, the hand of God in the separation and the division of the land. The next step, then Hashem says, do a lottery. Do a lottery. You just divided the land. What, we need a backup? Yeah, do a lottery. How? Then how was it done? Comes Elazar. That's it, Aaron is out of the picture. We said goodbye to Aaron in Parashat Chukat. He passed on. Elazar now takes over. He's the older son. He takes two boxes. In one box, he puts the names of the tribes. In another box, he puts the location. And each location had a name. Like you have a city, a borough, a county. Every section had a name. So he takes 2 boxes. Now happens an unbelievable miracle, that whatever came out of the boxes as the lottery was exactly how Hashem said that through the breastplate. Unbelievable miracle. Now comes the $1 million question. So why did I have to do the lottery? If I already got the information through Hashem, through a revelation of the Shekhinah, by the breastplates, by the Umim the Tumim, why do I need a lottery? And on top of that, unbelievable miracle that was pulled out of the box, exactly how it was before. It wasn't 2 opinions. So, now we are left with an unbelievable question. Why was the land of Israel divided in a lottery? Now, why is it such an important question? Because you know that our land is our house. And my house is the center of my life. People are very attached to their house. They're very attached to where they live. And the land of Israel has been our house for thousands of years. Even though we maybe were kicked out of the house a little bit, finally now we're back. That's our home. That's our home for our nation. And this place is not only our home, this is our center of being. This is not just another piece of property. It's not a building and you get an apartment, you get an apartment. This is our land. And this was divided in a lottery? From all things, that. Now, just so we understand the lottery concept, the lottery is done by somebody weak. Somebody who's strong, a strong leader, doesn't do a lottery. The leader says, this is how it's going to be. Sometimes you see in what's called in a Za'ir Anpin, in a household, there's a father. The father says what's going on. We're going there. But, that's where we're going. That's a leader. Also a leader of the nation. That's what we're doing. Now let's go for a vote. A strong king doesn't do votes. A strong king says that's what's happening. So why are you doing a lottery? But Moshe Rabbeinu could not put his foot down. This is what Hashem says. We're going in. So the idea of the lottery, it's already a big question, because lotteries you do when you are confused, when you don't have an answer, when you don't have somebody saying, that's what we're doing. Now let's go a little bit into the future. I mean, for us it's the past, but the future from that point. They go into the land of Israel. Now why is that important for us to know? Because as I said, lotteries is not for us. When there's a strong leader, you don't do a lottery. And the problem is that we see something similar that happened in this future, how the lottery affected it in a negative way. When they went into the land of Israel, then happened a disaster. This is taught in the Midrash. Yoshua goes into the land of Israel and they conquer Yericho. You know the whole story. They go around the walls of Yericho, they blow the trumpets, the whole story. You don't have to repeat the story right now. And they conquer the land. Right away, not the land, they conquer Yericho, sorry. Right away starts a disaster. People are starting to die. Left and right, people are just dying. Yeshua doesn't understand. What's going on? Why are people dying? He goes to Hashem and he says, why are people dying? So Hashem tells him, why are you asking me? So Hashem says, who am I going to ask? You're the master of the universe. I'm coming to you and asking to you. Yeshua is asking Hashem, why is people dying? So what does Hashem say? Mishu ma'al b'cherem. Somebody took from the loot. I didn't tell you to take from the loot. I didn't tell you to take anything. Somebody took from the loot. I hope that's how you say it in English. That's how you say loot, right? The spoils, whatever. It's called the cherem. Hashem says, Mishu ma'al b'cherem. Somebody took. So Yeshua tells him, who did that? So Hashem doesn't like talk Lashon Hara. Hashem says, what do I look to you like a snitch? What do you want from me? So Hashem tells Yeshua, I'm not telling you who did it. So Yeshua says, how would I know? What does Hashem tell him? Make a lottery. Make a lottery? Okay. So they make a lottery. A certain individual His name is Achan ben Ami. He was found guilty. So Yeshua goes to Achan ben Ami and tells him, I'm sorry to tell you, you're guilty. You took from the spoils. What does the Khan tell him? You find me guilty from a lottery? If I would make a lottery between you and Elazar, one of you would be found guilty. Right? If I make a lottery right now between Yeshua in the lottery, I want to find out between Yeshua and Elazar if somebody's guilty. One of you would be guilty. How can you find me guilty? Of course somebody will come out in the lottery. What kind of a system is that? If we take now, we hear a bunch of people, let's put everybody's name in a hat. Of course one will be pulled out. So that's how you're finding me guilty? So we see that in this case, he says, this is not convincing. This is what Achan tells Yeshua. You're not convincing me. What, you're just pointing a finger at me? So what does Yeshua say? Al totzi lag bagoralot. Yeshua tells this individual, Achan, don't laugh at the lottery because the land of Israel is future to be divided by lottery. And that's where we see a lack of strong leadership. Why are you doing a lottery? So it brings us to a big question. Why did the land have to be divided in such of a way, in a lottery? Doesn't make sense. Now, what do we take from that? Where is it leading us? That I am now left with a question, because when I read the Torah, I have to question my own life. What's the connection in the place where I am in the world to my destiny? Well, you think just by chance you live in Tzfat? Why don't you live in Sydney, Australia? It's a little bit nicer weather there. Maybe we should all live to New Zealand, move to New Zealand. Great food there. Beaches. Why am I here? So, jobs, whatever. But then that brings you to a question. Is there a connection between where I am to my destiny, my fate in the world? Now, even though the main element or the main part of the division was destiny, or the lottery, but there's a very big discrepancy, a very big what's called stira, something that doesn't fit well in the verse, in the parasha. Because it says, if the destiny or the lottery was the one, or the way how they decided how to divide the land, then how was it done by destiny and not by common sense? Because, one tribe was huge and the other tribe was little. How can it be what you're going to give the little tribe a big land and the big tribe a small land? I mean, the division has to be done with a little bit of common sense. just don't say, okay, we'll pull out a name out of a hat. So even though the division, the dividing of the land was done by a lottery, but there's something that doesn't work well in the verse. Why? Because it says in the verse, "Larav tarbe v'lame'at tam'it." The one who has a lot give a big portion. I mean, the tribe that has a lot of people give a big portion, and for the tribe that has little amount of people, give a small portion. That's what the verse says. But in the next verse after that, it says, "But it will be done by goral, by lottery." But you just said in the verse that the big tribe with a lot of population give a big portion, and for the one that is small, give a small portion. How are you telling me the next verse, but it's going to be done by a lottery? So if it's done by lottery, how can you tell me, well, it's just a big tribe, then give them a big portion? So you're contradicting yourself in the verse. So now the Torah is confusing me. What does Rashi say? We have to see what the commentaries say, because we are not anyone to start commentating on the Torah or question the Torah. Rashi puts us to ease. Rashi says the lottery was done to strengthen the decision that was made by common sense. Okay, that's what Rashi says. First, it was done by common sense. For the big tribe, give a big portion. For the small tribe, give a small portion. Then we'll add the lottery. As we saw, there was a miracle, and the lottery is just strengthening our decision. Okay, That's what Rashi says. Doesn't mean you have to accept Rashi. There are other commentaries that disagree with Rashi. For example, the Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, says, no, this whole lottery was just a game. A game that was really wasn't need to be done. What does Ramban says? First, they divided the land into 12 equal portions. And this is the commentary of the Ramban. Like I told you, it doesn't have to agree with Rashi. The Ramban says they first divided the land into 12 equal portions, and then they made the lottery who will get which portion. But the division of the land was done not by the lottery, but then who gets it? Who's going to get the sea view? Who's going to get the mountains? I mean, I can now see a situation, a father dies, he leaves the inheritance. Who gets the beach house? Who gets the penthouse? Who gets the cabin in the woods? Each one has a different value. So yeah, the division was done, okay, each one gets his portion. But which portion? I want to be next to the beach. Another will say, I don't want to be next to the beach. I want to be close to Yerushalayim. I want to be in the south. Warmer weather, maybe in the north, it's a little bit colder. So the Rambam says, yeah, first it was divided into 12 equal portions. Then there was the lottery, so to say, who will get which portion. And then, when it says, Larav Tarbeh, for the one who has a lot, give a lot, it says it has nothing to do with the tribe. It had to do with the families. So if I have 12 kids, then in my portion, in the area of the tribe, so you have 12 kids, you get a little bit bigger. You have 2 kids, you'll get a little bit smaller. It has nothing to do with the tribe. It has to do with the families in the tribe. Okay, this is what the Ramban says. Basically what is he saying? The commentary of the Ramban, the Goral, the lottery, was for the place, but the separation was literally by portion, by portion, by portion. Okay, so Yehuda, everybody gets a portion, but Yehuda will get this portion, and Levi will get that portion. But the division was done, it has nothing to do with the lottery. Okay, that's what the Ramban says. There's another commentary that disagrees with the Ramban. This is Abarbanel. And he says, no, because according to what you're saying, Mr. Ramban, the order is wrong in the verse. You're saying it wrong. Because in the verse it says, first, Larav Tarbeh, and then, so first you would give according to the portions, then which portion? So the Abarbanel is questioning the Rambam. Says, doesn't make sense as you're saying, because the verse will be, the order is not right. So what is the Abarbanel comes to conclusion? For sure, they divided the lottery was done by the size of the tribe, but nevertheless, the Abarbanel is saying the size of the tribe the portion was given by the size of the tribe, but which portion, that was already a lottery. So we have difference of opinions how it was done. The way how we go by, and the majority goes by what the Ramban says, is that how it was divided. So what do we take from this whole argument? Is that the Kadosh Baruch Hu gave something so important as the division of the land by a system that is random. That's what we take from that. It doesn't matter right now. It's almost irrelevant at this point if we go by the Shita of Rashi or the Ramban or Abarbanel. So they argue about the order. One says the portion, one says the size. Okay, it's at this point it's not so important. We're not trying to get to the bottom of it. We're talking about a whole different thing right now. In a different class or a different discussion, we will try to get to the bottom of who is right. I don't care right now who's right. I want to know why God, in such an important thing like dividing the land, is doing it in the lottery in such of a random way. Wouldn't it make sense that it will be calculated and coming very firm from the Kadosh Baruch Hu? Levi will get this part, God will get this part, Yehuda this part. That's what I would think. I want to know why Hashem is doing it in such a random way. Now, let's take a short break. Not for commercials, rather to take us to a different question. If this is the case, can I make a decision in life based on this lottery? If something so big, like the division of the land of Israel, done by the master of the universe, is done by a random way, in a lottery, can I make decisions like that? Yes or no? You know, people, when they want to answer, they go to a book, they open the book randomly. Tanakh, Tehillim, everybody has their thing. People open the Zohar, whatever it is, the God Kodesh, everybody has their little shtick. Some people say, you know, what the first person that will come and say that word and whatever. Am I allowed to do such a thing? Can I do serious things in my life based on a destiny, on a lottery? Now I want to marry somebody. Let me flip a coin. Let me flip a coin. You're going to marry the person. You're flipping a coin? Yeah, it's destiny. And whatever Hashem wants, that's what's going to happen. No. So can I, should I, and is it something that one wants to do? Make a big decision based on a lottery? Now comes another question on top of that. What am I putting in the hands of the lottery right now? I'm making a lottery. What am I putting in the hands of the lottery? Which part? So, very interestingly, because there's a lot of questions about it in halakha, and very recently even, there was a lot of questions in halakha regarding this topic. And a great rabbi in our generation who passed away not too long ago, Rabbi Avadia Yosef, deals with it in many, many cases in depth. There's a story that a few years ago, they were making elections for a certain city to choose the rabbi. And there were two rabbis running for the elections. They got the equal amount of votes. So what did somebody decide? Let's make a vote. Yeah, a tie. So what did they do? Somebody said, let's make a lottery. And they made a lottery and one rabbi won. The other rabbi approached Rabbi Avadia Yosef and said, is this even allowed? What do you mean? Are you choosing a rabbi by lottery? So we're going to get into it very soon to start seeing what the halakha has to say about it. But a rabbi in our generation that deals with this in depth can be found in the teachings of Rabbi Avadia Yosef. But before we go into that, comes a big question, because, you know, let's not go back 3,000 years. Let's go back within the last 100 years. How many times people had to make a lottery in a situation to know what to do, what not to do? Go back to the Holocaust 75 years ago. You know how many times people had to make a lottery? There's one room to jump off the train, or to hop on a train, or there's one piece of bread, or one person goes out. Who goes? And people used to make lotteries. Let's make a lottery. The one who loses, loses. There's a story. This has nothing to do necessarily with the Jews or Judaism, but it's a story just to kind of emphasize that people are stuck in situations. I'm probably going to butcher a lot of details of the story, but it's not so important. There was not too many years ago, I don't know exactly how many years, 30, 40 years ago, there was a certain ship that left from one point to another point. I think it was a British ship. At some point it bumped into a iceberg and the ship was going down.
That was the Titanic.
No, not the Titanic. Yeah, different story. And what happened was that they were, and again, I'm kind of butchering the story, but it's not so important. The end is important. From what I remember, they were all in some type of a lifeboat or in some type of a situation, and there were too many people and they had to lose some weight, right? And that was the only way to save the situation. So the captain of the boat decided that the young men who are not married should be the ones who have been thrown off. But nevertheless, that's what happened, and the rest were saved. Later on, it evolved into a trial, and the captain was called to trial. What are you doing? You're deciding who's going to be thrown off. So anyways, he was found guilty, and he says, what do you want from me? I had to make a decision. Who is going to have to die? and I actually saved a lot of people. What did the judge answer him? You should have made a lottery. That's what the judge answered him. You should have made it. He was found guilty. I don't remember if he got jail time or whatever. It's all irrelevant. It's just to get to the point that even in a court system, the judge told him, you don't take matters into your hand. You should have done a lottery. Now, how many times you can see in our past that a lottery needed to be done? A group came to cross the border. Only 3 people can go across the border. 3 are crossing, other staying behind. Whatever. I'm not going to start now telling you different scenarios. But there were times in our history that a lottery needed to be done, and some gained and some lost. Now, what do you do in this situation? And, somebody once questioned the idea, because if you remember, there was something very similar to that in our past with the prophet Yonah. Yonah was also on a boat, on a ship, and started a storm. And they also made a lottery and threw him off the deck. What, you make a lottery? Here the story is different because he admitted. They found that he was the cause, and he admitted, yeah, they made a lottery. The lottery showed that he was the problem. And they threw him off. But he admitted, and he told them, throw me off. So the point is that what do we want to question here and to explain? That destiny or lottery is what's called a gilui from Hashem. It's a revelation of Hashem. This is the psak halacha. This is what most of the poskim they will go by. That the lottery, it's Hashem intervening. Hashem is showing what He wants. Even though this is a random act, see, again, it's very hard to teach Torah in English because the word random is not accurate. In Hebrew, it's called akrai. And akrai comes from the root in Hebrew, mikre. Something happened, it happened. But mikre, if you take the letters mikre and you switch the order, it's rak me Hashem. So in English, you say a word random. Okay. In Hebrew, everything makes sense. So the word random in Hebrew is akrai. Akrai is the root. Mikre is the letters rak me Hashem. So the poskim, all the commentaries and all the halacha will tell you the lottery is only coming from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. He is intervening. And dafka, specifically in a random way or in a lottery, that's when Hashem intervenes and appears Himself. So this is called a lottery, a hagrala. Now, how do you know that this is really the desire or the will of the Kadosh Baruch Hu? Maybe if you don't mind, close the door. The noise is very strong, the drilling. So there is a concept, I don't know if you're well aware of it, I don't want to take too much time to talk about it, but there is something that is called Goral Hagra. Gra is the acronym of the Gaon from Vilna, and there is a concept. Now, I don't want to go too much in length in it, but maybe you want in your spare time, look into it. It's a very known concept. This is called Goral Hagra. Now, I'm going to tell you a story that happened about probably 67 years ago. Don't take me exactly on the date. And you'll see what this Goral Hagra. Goral means the lottery. Gra, I told you, is the acronym of the Gaon from Vilna. And there is a source that the Gaon from Vilna elaborates on that. But there is a story that happened. I'll tell you quickly the story, not to waste too much time on it, but just to make the point. I don't remember exactly the year. I think it was before the nation of Israel was declared as a nation. So it was probably in the early 40s. There was different military groups, Lechi, Etzel, and so forth. Anyways, there was a certain area, it's called Gush Etzion, and there were Jews trapped there, and 35 soldiers from one of these units, Jewish units, went into this place to give them food and water and medical supplies. So they were approaching this area, and they met an Arab shepherd. So the Arab shepherd, they caught him, and then they let him go right away. What was the result? This shepherd went to the Arabs. He warned them, listen, there's some commando unit coming here, some 35 guys with machine guns, and they're going towards this area called Gush Etzion. He went and ratted them out. They were ambushed, and they were all killed. All 35 soldiers. Now, these Arabs, Imach Shimam, they didn't just kill them with a bullet, they slaughtered the bodies, but they butchered the bodies to a point that the bodies were unrecognizable. Okay, I can maybe relate in a war, kill. They went beyond what the mind can fathom. They literally tortured and butchered the bodies, that only 23 of the bodies were somehow recognized, and they were able to get a proper burial, and the other 12 were unrecognizable. That's how bad it was. So what they did is they made 12 graves, 12 stones with no names. Years later, they said, listen, we want to maybe see who's buried where. They went to a great tzaddik who lived in Yerushalayim, known as Rabbi Aryeh Levin, very great tzaddik, and they told him, can you do something to figure out who's buried where? So he did what's called Goral Hagra, and there's a way to do it. I don't want to now go in length how to do it. There's a certain way to do it. You read a certain text, and you have to skip a certain amount of verses, and there's a certain addition you do. Nevertheless, that's what he did. And what happened was, in a miraculous, unbelievable way, they were able, according to this Goral Hagra, figure out who's buried where. Unbelievable. And it was such a miraculous way that he said, okay, this grave, we're going to read this pasuk. They open it up, and what do you know? A verse that has the name Binyamin in it. What do you know? There was a soldier Binyamin there. And 12 graves. And as this is randomly reading the psukim, there was the name in the pasuk that fit exactly all the 12 soldiers that they couldn't figure out who they were. Unbelievable. And according to this Goral Hagra, they were able to figure out each grave who's buried there. Unbelievable. Okay. So we see that, why am I saying all this? Is that we see that sometimes in a Goral, the Kadosh Baruch Hu intervenes. Intervenes in a way that Hashem says, let me, so to say my word in how I want to say it. Now, going back to the halacha question here, then according to halacha, there's no problem in throwing a coin in the air. Why? Because I'm not asking in the future. When the Torah is telling us that I'm not allowed to do goralot, it's talking about going into the future. That I'm not allowed to do. But to flip a coin, if to go to sushi or to Italian, I'm not going to the future. I'm just making a decision. So to make a quick conclusion, according to the halakha, there's no problem to flip a coin. Why? Because I'm not looking into the future. But, there's always a but. Like I told you, the Rav Avad Yosef was questioned about if a lottery is allowed to or not. Then the conclusion in halakha, when is the lottery, the flipping of the coin, whatever you want to call it, when is that allowed? It is only allowed when everybody has an equal right to win. That's when it's allowed. This is the psak halacha of Rav Avad Yosef. And again, we want to know what the halacha is, because I don't... Excuse me?
Could you say that again?
When is the lottery allowed? When everybody has an equal chance to win. That's when it's allowed. So going back to the story with the two rabbis, and one of them, they both got a tie, and they made a lottery. Rav Avad Yosef, when he was approached with that question, he says, no, a rabbi of the city does not get elected by a coin, by a lottery. He has to be elected by his qualifications, not by a lottery. Because when everybody has a fair chance, good, you can make a lottery. If there are two rabbis, so to say, fighting on the same position, doesn't mean they both have the fair chance, because if number one has much better qualifications, then he's not equal to the other one. Therefore, you can make a lottery to decide. But when we all have an equal right, we can all win. We have one airline ticket to the Bahamas, whatever. How many times they make a lottery? You pay $50, you can buy, everybody can win, and one can win the prize. Well, we all have the same equal opportunity. Then you're allowed to do the lottery. And, of course, it's important to know, and I'm just saying the halakha here, because we want to get to the bottom, not only to the halakha, but also what the Torah is trying to tell me. But the halakha is that I'm allowed to do it when you all have an equal chance. Not only that, when you're doing a lottery, is that you only allowed to give to the person what he deserves, and you can't take what he doesn't deserve. It all has to be equal to everybody. That's when the lottery is allowed to. Therefore, like I said before with the question with the rabbis, not allowed to do such a thing. Because why? Because it goes by qualification. And if one is much better than the other, then what's the lottery here? So, now we want to conclude. So first of all, we concluded the halakha that when is the lottery allowed to. More than that, we learned that Hashem loves the lotteries. Why? Because that's how He reveals Himself. When you make a lottery, it's Hashem saying, in other words, I'm going to show you who I want. We also saw a very interesting lottery not too long ago with Korach, if you remember. There was also a lottery there. Everybody will put their stick. What do you know? The stick of Aaron HaKohen started blooming. Nevertheless, the Kadosh Baruch Hu likes lotteries. But, again, there's always a but, only when everybody has an equal chance here. But nevertheless, the Kadosh Baruch Hu likes revealing Himself. To kind of emphasize what I'm trying to say, I'll tell you a funny story. There was once, I don't know if the story is real or not, but nevertheless has a good point and it's also funny. There was once a city and they needed to elect a rabbi. They went and many people applied. From 100 people, they went down to 50, from 50 to 20, to 15, to 10, to 2. They narrowed down to 2 rabbis. Now, both came with unbelievable credentials, unbelievable resume. Now, who do we choose? What did they decide? Let's invite both of them to Shabbat. Let them come to our shul, to our synagogue, and let each one of them talk. One will talk before the reading of the Torah, one will talk after the reading of the Torah. Let them talk, and we'll hear what they have to say. Okay, they invite the 2 rabbis, and the night before happened something. One rabbi was what we call a chaper. Chaper is like, he was invited to speak. He didn't prepare a speech or a dvar Torah. He was like, I'll take a few things, put them together, mishmash, I'll give something out. It wasn't like a serious. The other rabbi was Mr. Stein, Mr. Neat. He prepared the lecture, the dvar Torah, 3 weeks before that. Every word was calculated, sources, example. So the first one was like, I'll just spit something out. I'll impress them somehow. The other one was very calculated. Okay. Now what happens is, the night before, Friday night, they finish the dinner, they go to sleep. Happens to be that both rabbis slept one door next to the other. The chaper, the one that said, I'm just going to come up with something, suddenly realizes, wait a minute, I have nothing to say. Tomorrow I'm about to speak. I don't know what to speak about. It's pasting in the room. What am I going to talk? What am I going to talk? Simultaneously, the other rabbi gets very excited. Oh my God, I'm going to speak now in front of hundreds of people. This is going to determine if I'm going to get the job. I'm not going to get the job. He's all uptight. He's starting to forget his speech. What does he decide to do? He starts saying the speech out loud to prepare himself. As he's saying the speech out loud, the other rabbi is praying for a miracle. Hashem, I need something to talk about. And what do you know? The other guy is saying his speech out loud, and he hears every word. Brilliant. Unbelievable. So he now hears the speech. That's it. I have what to talk. Okay, comes the morning. The rabbi who was listening, ear dropped, comes to the Gabbai, tells him, listen, I have a little bit of, I'm very excited. It's very hard for me to speak in such of a big crowd. Can I go first? So the Gabbai says, okay, you go first. You'll go before the reading of the Torah. The other rabbi will go after the reading of the Torah. Okay. So comes the moment. The rabbi stands on the stage and he talks and wow, he floors them. Now the other rabbi, what's going on? He said exactly what I want to say. What am I going to do now? He stole my speech. He's going crazy now. What am I going to say? Now he has the whole time of the reading of the Torah to pray for a miracle. And the whole time, Hashem, do something. I need a miracle. What am I going to say? He literally took my entire speech. As he's called up to say his speech, the miracle happened. He goes up on the stage and he says, ladies and gentlemen, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for inviting me. There are two types of rabbis in the world. I know that today you have to make a decision, me to be the rabbi here or this other distinguished rabbi. I know you have to make a very important decision today. I just want to tell you something, that there are two types of rabbis in the world. One rabbi knows how to speak. The other rabbi knows how to listen. So our friend here proved to us that he knows how to speak. I know how to listen. I'm now going to repeat word by word what my friend Rabbi just said. So, so what do we take from that? A rabbi you don't choose by a lottery. Right? A rabbi you choose by qualifications. So why are we mentioning this story? Some things you don't do a lottery for. When it comes to marry somebody, you don't make a lottery, I'll flip a coin. No, you marry the person because there's a certain qualifications. There's a certain, it fits well. It's the right person. This is not something that you throw a coin. So there are many things in my life you don't throw a coin. You have to look what are the qualifications, what is the information, then you make a decision. But in some cases, yeah, you flip a coin. In some cases, why do you flip a coin? Because you want Hashem to intervene. You want Hashem to step in and say, I will tell you. And yes, some people, they'll open a book of Tehillim, a book of Zohar, whatever it is. Or the first person that will come will say this and that. Okay. So in some cases, you can do that. Now that we understand the halakha here, and we kind of understand why did Hashem divide the land, such an important thing, specifically with the lottery, because Hashem says, I want to show you how I am running the show. So I want you to do a lottery, and I will show you how I run the show. So first of all, do what Elazar did, do the regular division, then do the lottery, and you'll see that in a miraculous way, I will intervene, and this is going to show you that's my decision. That even when you made the first decision based on the breastplate, I will still add on that, because Hashem sometimes wants to show you how He's in control, and Hashem loves these lotteries. Why? Because that's how He shows you and how He reveals to you His will. But this is all nice and interesting, and how's that got to do with me? When I learn the Torah, I don't learn a history book. And yes, sometimes I do learn some historical facts, and sometimes I do learn some information and halakha. But what's it going to do with me? I like learning the Torah in order for me to affect me. So how do I make decisions now? I have a lot of decisions to make. Whether to live here or whether to live here. Whether to go to do this business or that business. Should I learn to be a doctor or a lawyer? Should I marry this person or that person? All day long we have decisions to make. Should I send my kid to this school or to that school? Who should I associate with? We find it very hard in our times to make decisions. And sometimes the decisions are not so easy to make. And you're saying, wait a minute, I'm not buying here a t-shirt. This is a big decision. I might now change our entire path by one little decision. Sometimes you choose to relocate, whether it's a job, a business opportunity. Now you are changing the path of an entire family. Am I making the right decision? 4 years ago, I lived 18 years in America. Then we decided to go back to Eretz Israel. Now, I'm saying we, my wife, me, my kids were very excited, but people were asking me, you sure you're doing the right decision? Why are you moving to Israel? What are you going to do there? And a lot of people told me, listen, you have a flat, what are you going to do there? You're coming there with a wife, 6 kids. I told you already, when we came to Israel, the morning of our flight was 1 p.m. The morning of the flight, 5 a.m., I call my mother in Israel from New York. And she tells me, tonight when you're landing, where are you staying? I don't know. She says, you don't know where you're staying? No. You're coming with a wife and 6 kids and you don't know where you're staying? It's not like you coming with a backpack and you can crash on somebody's couch. No, I don't know where I'm staying. Hashem knows where I'm staying. I got off the phone call. I go into Airbnb, and within 20 minutes, I found where to stay. That's it. And it was cheap, and it was big, and spacious. I have to worry about something. Hashem worries about everything. But nevertheless, there were a lot of big decisions to make, and people were questioning me. You sure making the right decision? And now I have great faith in Hashem, but sometimes I was like, am I making the right decision? I'm taking now a whole family from one place to another, and I'm changing now their life. I'm going to affect everybody. My decision is affecting now a lot of other lives. So when it comes to my life to make decisions, I'm sure you met a few hard decisions in your life. Who to get married? How many times a person dates another person? I don't know if to get married to that person or not. This is again, I'm not buying here a box of candies. I'm deciding who I'm going to marry for the rest of my life. Nevertheless, we don't know how to make decisions, but Hashem knows how to make decisions. And this is again brings us to this question, so why did the land got divided with the lottery? We don't know how to make decisions. Hashem knows how to make decisions. So send me a clear message, Hashem. Dan will go to this part. Asher will go here. Why are you making me do a lottery, Hashem? I don't know how to make decisions. Hashem knows how to make decisions. So I'll tell you another quick story. And with that, we're going to conclude. There was a very famous Chassid. His name was Yosef Vishkov, something like that. I'm probably butchering the name. But nevertheless, a very famous Chassid, Rabbi Yosef Vishnokov, something like that. Okay, don't take me on the word. He was a great Talmid Chacham. And he was from a very early stage already detected to be the next Gedol Ador. A brilliant mind, genius, great Talmid Chacham. You know, when some students, they learn in Yale and Harvard, they already know from the early years already, the law firms are already coming and pulling out the right students, the dominating one. Same thing with him. Everybody already had their eye on him. And there he was destined to be a great Dayan, great rabbi of a city. Nevertheless, everybody wanted him. When it came to the point that he had to take on a job, he got a lot of offers. He went to his Rebbe, who was at the time the Baal HaTanya. The Baal HaTanya told him, no. He told him, should I take this job? No. Should I take this position? No. So he tells him, so what do you think I should do? The Baal HaTanya told him, I think you should be a Eglon, a taxi driver, a horse and buggy, like an Uber of 250 years ago. That was a very disgraceful job. He tells him, you telling me I should not accept all these prestigious offers to be a Rosh Yeshiva, to be a head of a Beit Din? You're telling me I should be a Baal HaAgala, a Eglon? in the olden days, whoever didn't know how to make money, had a horse, had a buggy, and you would do deliveries, taxi, Uber, whatever it is. And you would take person from point A to point B, and deliveries. But that wasn't a good job. It wasn't like today you're sitting in a car with air conditioning. That's dealing with the horses. You have to clean the horses are in the stable, in the winter, the snow. This is not such a prestige job. But nevertheless, his Rebbe, a great tzaddik, tells him, no, you should be a taxi driver, a eglon. So he didn't want to do that, so he decided, I'm just going to sit and learn. So for 10 years, he pushed the day. He would just learn. An offer would come and become a head of the yeshiva. No. 10 years, he pushed it. Finally, at some point, he got another job offer, and he went again to his Rebbe, and his Rebbe told him, no, you have to be a eglon, drive a horse and buggy. So he says, okay, who am I to say? The tzaddik told me I have to be a driver of horse and buggy. I'll be a driver, horse and buggy. He goes down to the docks where all the drivers are standing with their horse and buggies, and he tells them, can you teach me the business, how to, tie the horse, they're all looking at him, you? This is not for you. You are a great rabbi. Go to the Beit Din. Go to the yeshiva. What are you on here? He says, no, I want to have a horse and buggy. And they're all laughing at him and mocking him. You? At the end of the day, one of them says, come, I'll teach you what to do. And he teaches him. And you know what? He comes home. The rumor was already spread that the great Rav Yosef became a driver of a horse and buggy. He comes home all dirty with mud. His wife is telling him, is this true, the rumors that I'm hearing? You want to be a driver of a horse? He tells her, listen, I don't want to, but the Rebbe told me to do it. She was a very holy and God-fearing woman. She says, oh, if the Rebbe said it, fine. What did she do? She went, took all her jewelry, sold all her jewelry. They went and bought a horse, bought a buggy, and he started working. For a whole year, that was his job. And this is not a nice job, not an easy job, very disgraceful. Nevertheless, he believed he had a great emunah in the tzaddik. That's what the tzaddik says, so he did. Long story short, one time he's stuck in some town and he was about to leave. The hotel where he was says, listen, I have a customer. There's a Jew here, needs to get from here to that place. Take him in the morning. So he says, no problem. Just tell him in the morning I have to pray. I'll take him later on. So he says, okay, fine. So happens to be that this Jew that needed the ride was a Jew that came from a very observant family and slowly went off the derech and completely went against the Torah and mitzvot, was married to a non-Jew, non-Jewish kids, not kosher, not Shabbat, no nothing. When the owner of the hotel told him, I found for you a taxi driver, just that he's a Jew, he needs to pray in the morning, he was like, whatever. Okay, happens to be, like the story with the other rabbis, both shared a wall. One, the driver is here, Rabbi Yosef is here, thin wall, and this Jew there. Suddenly in the middle of the night, this Jew hears crying. He goes and somehow looks through the window and he sees Rabbi Yosef sitting on the floor, crying his eyes out, saying Tikkun Chatzot, and reading and saying Kriyat Shema, and crying for the destruction of the temple. So, okay, wow. Moved him a little bit. Okay, comes the morning, and he hears from the other room dancing, singing, praying. He never heard such prayer. He heard the Rabbi Yosef praying, but from all his heart, and dancing, Ashreinu, Ma Tov Chalkeinu, jumping up and down and praying 3 hours. It pierced his heart in such of a way that he went to Rabbi Yosef and told him, you know how many years I didn't put tefillin on? Maybe 40, 50 years. Can I put tefillin on? Nevertheless, they went together on the ride, and the inspiration and the excitement of Rabbi Yosef inspired this Jew, and needless to say, he became observant again, brought him back to the world of the Torah, only because Rabbi Yosef was there that night, and he saw everything, and he got inspired. Of course, after this story, came the Balatanya, the Rebbe, and told him, your job is done, put on clean clothes, go choose whatever job you want to go become, and he became one of the greatest rabbis of the generation. And needless to say, there doesn't have to be a horse and buggy anymore. So what is the story coming to tell us, and what do we want to take from all this to conclude? Each and every one of us has a mission in this world. You can call it a mission, you can call it a purpose, you can call it a shlichut, my purpose in this world. Everybody has some type of purpose in this world. And every person, besides doing his purpose, there's a place where you do it. Not only that you have to do a certain mission, a certain purpose, it also depends where you're doing it. To sidetrack it a little bit, I told you now 2 minutes ago how we made Aliyah to Eretz Israel. 2 years we were planning the Aliyah. And the whole 2 years we were planning to go to a city called Poleg, next to Netanya. My parents live close by there, and it's in the center of Israel. I didn't know what I'm going to do. I said, most likely I'll do lectures like I did in America. So I need to be in the center, so it will be easy to reach to the north, to the south, to Yerushalayim. It's close to my parents. My parents will help us. We found schools. We found everything. We landed. We were maybe a week in Netanya. My wife says, I don't want to be here. This is not our place. What do you mean not our place? I mean, we have a house, we have kids, schools. What do you mean? No. It's okay. We go to Yerushalayim, we go to Bet Shemesh, we go to different places. Can't find where to go. Suddenly she comes with a bold idea. Let's go to Tzfat. Tzfat? It's like at the end of the world. You turn right and then you have to look for it. I mean, even the GPS doesn't know how to get there. What are we going to do there? Okay, so we go to Tzfat. Sure enough, it took about 3.5 minutes, and we're like, okay, that's where we have to be. I think I planned that. Our plans were completely different. And within 1 second, all our plans got changed. Suddenly, when we came to Israel, we had a whole different plan what we're supposed to do. We were supposed to open a boarding school for teenage girls that are off the derech. That was the plan. That's what we were working on. The whole year in Los Angeles before that, I was working with the right individuals to do such a thing. We were planning and opening a school for girls from the age of 12 to 18, the girls from observant families that they become not observant, to make a whole school, a trade school, and we had a whole plan. Kadosh Baruch Hu flicks a finger, you go to a different place. So not only that you have a mission in this world, there's also a place where that mission has to be done. And this mission, you know how you get it? You win it in a lottery. Not here in this world. The soul, when it's pulled out of the bank of souls, it's also winning the shlichut in a lottery in the world above. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, this is what needs to be done. Ini, mini, mini, mo, you go down. Me? Yeah. But I don't. You. So even what is decided for us is already done in a lottery in the world above. And you know what? You can't disagree. You can't say, I want a second trial. In Hebrew you'll say, you can't leharher. That's what the Kadosh Baruch Hu says. You take it. You can't say, I don't like the job. I don't want to go to the south. There's too much sun. I sweat. Whatever the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you accept it. So not only that I have a certain mission in this world, a purpose in this world, there's a place where it has to be done. And there's a connection between my shlichut, my purpose in this world, to where I'm going to do it. I'm not going to be able to do it in Yerushalayim. I can only do it here in Tzfat. Why? That's what Hashem wants. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu will take me where I need to go. I just need to know how to listen to Hashem to lead me there. That's why the land had to be divided by a goral, by a lottery. Why? This is your portion, this is your portion. Every person in the nation had a certain portion in the land where to do their shlichut, where to do their purpose in this world. That's where the land was. And the idea behind it is that not only that I have a task in this world, and not only that, it's not that I have one purpose in this world. I have many purposes. From the age 15 to 21, one thing. 21 to 27, one thing. It's not like, don't take the ages how I'm saying. I'm just saying, you see in your life, you move. So not only that I have a certain purpose to do in this world, also where I'm going to do it. So therefore, we see that the Torah He's teaching us that the land was not only divided because every person needed a place to go, because that's where they had to do what they have to do. Which means that you are in the right place at the right time, and you have to do what Hashem wants you to do here. And when Hashem wants you to move, He will move you. And it will come in many different ways. But wherever Hashem puts you, that's where you have to operate. You have to see what's around you. What is my mission? What does Hashem want from me? And it has to be done today, here, not there. But I want to be there. The weather is better. I'm not asking you how the weather is. This is where you have to be. So what we want to take from that after 40 years in the desert, when they were wandering around and they finally went into the land of Israel, they had a purpose. They had to do something. Same thing here. Nothing's changed. We have a purpose. I have to be in a certain place, in a certain time. And this will be done in a way that the Kadosh Baruch Hu does a lottery. It's not done based on my decision. So when it comes to a decision, when, like I concluded before, then there's qualifications, or there's details, then you have to go by what are the qualifications, or the information that needs to be done, like a wedding or a business. But when it comes to a place, or into my mission, it will be done by a lottery. It will be done by a lottery, and I have to go by what the Kadosh Baruch Hu does, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu will lead me. And that's when I'm allowed to actually flip a coin or whatever. Why? Because that's a way how the Kadosh Baruch Hu is showing me. Now don't take now my advice and every little thing flip a coin. It's actually said in the commentary, that's the last resource. If you don't know, you tried, you read, you searched, you looked, you asked, and you still didn't come, then okay, they'll do a lottery. But don't just now for every little thing now do a lottery. Should I go to have coffee right now or there? Okay, let's flip. Don't start walking around with coins in your pockets. And the point we want to take from that is, first of all, the importance of making Hashem lead you and guide you, but to also understand that where you are is where Hashem wants you to be. You might not agree with it. You might not find it comfortable. But if Hashem already put you here, wherever you are, then you have to do something in this place. You have to figure out, what does Hashem want from you? Why specifically this neighborhood? Why this city? Why this country? Why do I have to be here right now? And when the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to move you, He will give you the signs. Not too long ago, one of my students who lives in America, nothing is working out for her. Can't find the other half, not a job, no this, no that. Lives in California. There was an earthquake now, so she sends me a message, what should I take from this earthquake? So I told her, I don't know how you don't see the writing on the wall. The Kadosh Baruch Hu closed all the doors. All the doors are closed. You can't find a husband. Parnasah is not working. This is not working. Nothing is working. Well, this is a no-brainer. The Kadosh Baruch Hu sealed all the doors. Pack your bags and come back home. End the story. I mean, you have to be completely ignorant when the Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't allow it to happen. He will close the door. And when a door closes, you know that right away another door opens. But you have to see how the Kadosh Baruch Hu is leading you. Don't worry, let Hashem take you where He needs to take you. But you have to read through the signs. Mezal Hashem, we should all be aware of our mission in this world, and we should all, not only that, be aware, but also fulfill our purpose in this world, and understand that where Hashem put me in this world, that's where I'm needed. Now you figure out why Hashem put you where you are, and what is required from you. What are you needed to do? Don't just be in a place and don't do nothing. You have to be wherever you are, you have to do something. Doesn't matter what. Teach, give, inspire, feed, whatever it is, support. But you have to do something where you are. That is part of your mission, and let Hashem take you where you need to go. And when you need a little bit of help from above, nothing wrong to throw a coin in the air.